All right, all right. This is fun. Never gone live before. Wearing headphones to hopefully, because I'm guessing that this microphone on here is going to be a little bit better than the microphone on my laptop. Yeah. Like I said, never gone live before, so I'm trying to mute. Hello. Sure, it sounds okay. Oh no. Is it? We got one. I think this means that there's one person watching. I bet I know who that is. Yeah, so the reason I'm going live is because I missed last week, and I'm also technically going to miss this week as well. Today's Monday, and so I missed last Wednesday, the 24th. And then I'm also going to miss this Wednesday, but I'm planning on doing another live stream on Thursday to make up for that. Honestly, live streams are just so easy. I might just keep on doing live streams because then I don't have to like set up and record. Oh my gosh, it's so lazy, but I love it. I don't have to like set up and record and take down and then edit. Edit's the big part, and then like waiting an hour for like the file to render and upload and writing descriptions, even though I still have to write a description for this. But yeah, so that's the plans. I'm going to do this one on Thursday, and then I might just keep on doing live streams continually. They might be a little sporadic because update, I got a job, so that's fun. That starts on Monday, so my free time is going to go down quite a bit. I've been working again DoorDash recently, but got a real 8 to 5 job, so the time is going to be a little bit limited in the future. But I think that's all the updates that we have. Does this mean is somebody watching? Because if so, I was not expecting. I was expecting this to be like a basically like I'm recording but not having to edit. So, that's another fun thing is you'll be able to see all of my mistakes that I edit out normally. So cool. Well, if somebody is watching, hello. If not, I don't understand what the one is. Maybe that's like me. Anyway, all right, we're 3 minutes in, so let's just hop into it. Yeah, so the title of this video, Buying a House at 24. Technically, I could make it even more clickbait worthy because I'm only 23. And I will be 23 until April 24th is my birthday. It's when I turn 24. And my wife and I technically close on our house on April 15th or 16th, something like that. So I will technically still be 23 when I close on our house. But yeah, so there are a lot of articles and a lot of, I don't know, I'm sure podcasts and stuff. You hear news and YouTube videos all the time, at least I do, regarding how like millennials and, I don't have any sources for this, so take this with a grain of salt, but millennials are buying houses at a reduced rate, or they're buying them later or something like that. So this is me just kind of going against the grain, which I absolutely love to do. Just do everything different. If everybody's buying houses later and getting married later and having babies later and getting life started later, I'll just do it right now and early. So that's not the reason that we bought our house, and I'll kind of dive into that a little bit. But there's a few parts that I want to go through. So first part will just be kind of some advice on buying. I kind of talked in my introductory YouTube video about how I wanted this channel to be some sort of, it'll be educational as well as anecdotal as well as informational, hopefully. Kind of give you some real life stuff to look at. So the first part would be advice, and I'm looking at my notes. So that's, yeah. And then next, We'll talk about the different schools of thought, at least the ones that I'm aware of, regarding finances, regarding debt, regarding buying. If the people that I talk about even do comment on that, I'm not entirely sure. And then finally, like again, an anecdotal, real life based example about buying a house at this age, and just kind of like why and what and how. So let's dive on in. We're 5 minutes in. Here we go. So as far as advice goes, is there anything I need to like preface? Like, I feel like it just like dropped up like, we bought a house. Like, can I just go? Like, do I need to? I'm gonna assume that I don't need to do anything. So, all right. So advice. We had a realtor. So we had a real estate agent. When you are buying, they're called a buyer's agent or a buyer's representative, obviously. And then if you're selling a house, again, it would be like a seller's agent. But we had a buyer's agent. So we had a real estate agent working for us. And the house that we bought is actually for sale by owner. So how that works, normally for sale by owners, and this is a lot of this information is kind of most of this information that I'm going to be providing comes from a real estate agent, because I didn't know a ton about buying a house, and also just like reading articles online and such. So it's not necessarily my my information, but it is my experience. As far as the realtor goes, sorry, getting emails all over. As far as the realtor goes, again, what normally happens is a seller will have a real estate agent, and then your buyer will have a real estate agent, and they kind of work to, they are the ones communicating with each other. They're kind of the middlemen, if you will. And then when you are a buyer, normally the seller pays the commissions. You can write it into the offer where the buyer and seller will split the commission for the real estate agent. A lot, at least where we were looking in small town Nebraska, and a lot of the houses that we were seeing going up for sale were for sale by owner. And I do think, and this is not something I know for sure, but it's just a thought or opinion that I have, but I do think that people are doing for sale by owners because they don't want to pay the commissions there. So kind of what our real estate agent had told us is, if you are looking at a for sale by owner, sometimes either the buyer won't work with you at all. So they say, if you have a real estate agent, or if you're working with a real estate agent, we won't work with you at all. We were kind of advised to stay away from those situations, just because you never know, that could mean that the seller doesn't really know what's going on and they don't want to deal with an agent, or that means that they know that working with an agent can mean like a worse deal for them. There's a plethora of reasons why, and I have no idea what those are, because I've never sold or bought a house. So that's just kind of information that we were told, and kind of forgot where I was. Oh, it's the commissions. So yeah, and then B is I guess there's three options. So A, the buyer can not work with you. B, the buyer can work with you but not pay the commission. And then it would be, or sorry, the seller. So A, the seller won't work with you. B, the seller will work with you, but they will not pay the commission for the real estate agent. And then therefore that burden would fall upon the buyers. Or C, the seller will work with you, and then either they will split commission or the seller will just pay the commission. Our circumstance is we were letter B, so the seller did work with us, which is really great, but we actually technically are the ones that are paying our real estate agent. But we were able to throw the commission just into the mortgage. So basically, the commission that we're paying our real estate agent is in our mortgage loan, so it's spread out over a 30-year period. So not a big deal. Obviously it increased the purchase price, the amount of the commission, but again, that's relatively small Normally it's around 3%. Maybe it can go up as high as 5. I really don't know, but ours was 3%. So add an additional 3% to the purchase price of the house. Not a big deal. But yeah, going back to the advice part. So definitely have a real estate agent as your buyer's agent. And the reason, and I'll give you a few reasons why, but I mean, everything I just told you came from our real estate agent. So that should kind of show you the wisdom and the information that they're able to provide. Like, it's most of that stuff I didn't know before, but now I do because our real estate agent. And when you do get an agent, get somebody who, I would definitely have a recommendation. So we have friends that bought a house near us, so in our location, and they recommended this person. They were like, hey, this person was great to work with, super educational, heart of a teacher. So I would definitely go with a recommendation if you can, if that's an option for you, rather than like going online and searching for a real estate agent. That way there's at least like some sort of tie to them, so you kind of know what's going on. But so yeah, our agent definitely had the heart of a teacher. That's just one of the reasons why to definitely have them. When we went and saw the house, so we got a booking, and it was as easy as, I guess this is reason number 2 to have an agent. It was as easy as texting our agent saying, you know, hey, this house came up, here's the link, we would like to go see it. And then like my wife and I were hands off. Like, we literally sent a text, and then it was our agent's responsibility to call. She even told us, like, she called and left messages, I think like 2 or 3 times. I think she sent an email. So she was the one communicating with the seller, not us. So literally all we had to do was like text our agent and then like worry about our own life for the next however long. And so we did end up setting up that showing. And then when we went, again, you know, I'm 23 and my wife's 25, and we've never bought a house before, and we didn't know what questions to ask. And so I guess reason number 3 is the realtor will ask just amazing questions. And it was things that I would have never even thought to ask. And our agent was really great about asking them. So, you know, like, oh, like these windows look nice. Like, are they new? When we went downstairs into the basement, we were looking at the furnace. Like, she was reading like when the furnace was installed. She looked at the breaker box for us, like, oh, there's like 220 volts in this house, and they've only used this amount of space. So you've got a good chunk of space left. So that's really great for you guys. Oh, this is the water softener, and this is your water heater. Oh, this is a little bit old. Water heaters normally last X number of years. So like something to keep in mind. How about the roof? How about the lot lines? It's just stuff that you would just never think to ask. Other than like walking through the house and like, oh, this is nice. You know, carpet's nice, and the kitchen's okay, and the light fixtures are fine. And that's kind of stuff that we were worried about. And she was definitely on our side, kind of worrying about all the major home stuff that you need to worry about. Sorry. And let's see if I had anything else to say on that. Yeah, they're the ones that contact the seller. They know the buying process. The biggest thing that I've seen so far with our agent is after we put in an offer on the house. So we contacted them about putting in the offer. They helped us write up the contract and the offer letter. They gave us some advice in our offer, you know, as far as like a deadline and such. And this is going to be a really long video. Super sorry. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Leave whenever you want. I don't care. It's more for, I don't know who it's for. It's kind of for me. Sorry. Yeah, so they wrote up the contract, the offer letter. They were the ones communicating again with the seller. So, you know, we didn't really have to do much except for sign some papers. So that's, yeah. If I haven't convinced you already, buyer's agent is definitely the way to go. You may have to pay commission, but a 3% commission spread out over a 30-year mortgage is worth it, definitely. In my mind, maybe it's not to you, and that's fine. Second piece of advice is know your payment. This kind of comes from, this is mainstream knowledge and from articles and such that I've read, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently a lot of people will base their mortgage payment. They'll look at their mortgage payment and look at what they're renting for, and they'll say like, oh, what I'm renting for is the same as the mortgage payment, therefore I can buy a house. I don't know if people think that way, but if they do, that's wrong. And again, this is not necessarily my information. This is stuff that I've read, but also, again, kind of stuff that I've experienced myself, so I can talk about it. I remember doing a lot of calculations myself. Some people, in my mind, this is what happens. People will go to a mortgage lender and be like, hey, we want to buy a house. And then the mortgage lender will kind of walk them through and say like, this is how much house you can afford. But I did my own independent research and I looked up, I spent quite a bit of time doing calculations, with online calculators and just myself, about what our payment was going to be. And so that second piece of advice is know your payment. In our case, there's more to the loan than your monthly payment that you have to consider. So you have your loan, your actual mortgage loan, that's split up between your interest and your principal. So every month you're paying your lender the the principal and interest for the actual loan. But then on top of that, there's also other monthly costs that you absolutely have to take into account. So for us, we put less than 20% down because, again, we're super young and we don't have 40 grand sitting around for a 20% down payment. So we have a conventional mortgage, which means that you have to put a minimum of 3% down. We obviously put more than 3% down. And when you put less than 20% down, you have private mortgage insurance, which is going to be X number of dollars per month. That varies widely, so I'm not even going to try to put a number on that. So that's something you have to consider. And there's also the homeowner's insurance. So if you're renting, you're probably paying renter's insurance. Homeowner's insurance is going to be more expensive, so that's something you have to consider. And then property taxes also. Those are going to be a chunk of your monthly payment. And again, that varies widely from California to small town Nebraska, so I'm not going to put a number on that. But those are three things that you have to consider. So actually, when you're calculating your payment, you need to consider, I think if you go on Google and you type in like mortgage calculator, and then you click on the option that says like include taxes and fees, it'll kind of break that all down for you and you'll see exactly what I'm saying. So you're going to need to know your loan amount, insurance, both home and private, and then property taxes. And even then, our monthly payment for our house is going to be very similar to our rent payment. And some people, I think, will even tell you like, hey, don't do that. Who are those people? I don't know. I don't even know if that's true. This is just kind of my perception of reading lots of articles on buying a house and what to look for and such. But a lot of people will talk about the hidden costs of home ownership. So things that you don't even think about, like, oh, you have to scoop your own driveway and mow your own lawn and it's also, I think that's another thing to consider too. It's also going to cost a lot more to heat and cool a 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 square foot house than it is going to cost to do the same to a 700 or 800 square foot apartment. So that's, again, something to consider as well. But yeah, our payments were very similar, and I think our house payments are going to be just a tad bit lower. They might even out with when you include like Wi-Fi and trash and utilities and all that other stuff, it's probably going to even out. But it was close enough for us. So that's the second piece of advice: is know your payments. Oh man, I don't even know what to say. I'm super sorry about all the quality looks great on my end. Hopefully the sound's good on your end. It's just I don't really know how to make this entertaining. Hopefully information is entertaining because you're getting a lot of that. And it's 20 minutes in. You've been listening to me talk for 20 minutes. I've been talking for 20 minutes. And we're like halfway through. So let me get rolling here. So number 1, get a realtor. Number 2, know your payment. Number 3, know where you want to be. And again, this is, you'll see if you type in like, how do I know when I want to buy a home? This, almost everybody will recommend this, because when you buy a house, if you're not in your house for, and this can vary, I've seen people say 3 years, I've seen people say 6 years. If you're not in your house for a minimum of 3 to 6 years, you will probably lose money on your house. And I say probably because that's not always the case. If you find a great deal, which if you don't know anything about the housing market, you're going to want a buyer's agent, because they're going to be able to tell you if you're getting a good deal or not. Something can happen where you get such a good deal in your house where even if you did sell it a year or 2 later, you would probably break even or even make a little bit of money. So that piece of advice can vary quite a bit, but know where you want to be. Know where you want to be for the next minimum, 3 to 6 years is what people will say. Yeah, so that's all the advice that I have. That was 1, 2, and 3, and then I'll go into different schools of thought, because this definitely weighed into my wife and I's decision to buy a house. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Dave Ramsey. I'm very familiar with Dave Ramsey, listen to a lot of his podcasts. I've never done Financial Peace University, but I do have Financial Peace University. Somebody gave it to me for free, so thank you for that. I do plan on doing it, or at least, I don't really know if I'll do it or not. But I have read 2 of Dave Ramsey's books, and I've read tons of his articles and lots of YouTube and podcasts. So I do consider myself a Dave Ramsey intermediate or a Dave Ramsey expert. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about here, but his philosophy is you are not ready to buy a house until you are out of debt, until you have a full rainy day fund, which in his eyes is 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up. You are not ready to buy a house until you have at least a 10% down payment. I don't know, because the stuff that I read from him, he goes back a long ways. So 10% might be old, it might be current, but if you don't have between 10 and 20% saved up for down payment, you're not ready to buy a house. And then lastly, you're not ready to buy a house unless your payments on a 15-year fixed mortgage are no more than 25% of your take-home pay. So I'll say that again for the people in the back who have no idea what I'm talking about. So he says you can only get a 15-year mortgage. And with that 15-year mortgage, obviously the payments are going to be higher than a 30-year mortgage because you have less time to pay your mortgage. Those payments cannot be any more than those payments cannot be more than 25% of your take-home pay. So quick and dirty and simple math, if your take-home, and again, this is your take-home pay, so this is after taxes, this is not your gross, this is your take-home. If your take-home pay is $4,000 a month, your payment cannot and should not, in his opinion, be more than $1,000 a month. $1,000 is 25%. So that's one school of thought. If we are breaking, I think, all of those rules, we are not, my wife and I are not out of debt. We have a rainy day fund. I don't think it's quite 3 to 6 months. It's probably close to 3 months. I don't think it's quite that high though. We had a bigger rainy day fund, but we're using some of the rainy day fund to fund our down payment. This is not anything that I'm recommending whatsoever, because that's probably a horrible idea, but I know what I'm getting into, and it's a little bit risky. But again, we had actually a decently sized rainy day fund, and we're just taking a chunk of that and adding that to our down payment, and we still have a good rainy day fund. It's not quite 3 months, but it's probably close. And then after we do the closing on our house, we do plan to fill that back up to where it was previously to give us that peace of mind and comfort and cushion between us and life's fun events. So yeah, we're breaking the debt rule. We're breaking the rainy day fund rule. We are breaking, he says, get a 15-year. We got a 30-year. We only put, we put for sure less than 20, for sure less than 10% down on the house. We're breaking that rule. And the payment is, that is the one rule that we're following. The payment is within 25%. And that is actually the one rule that I do want to continue to follow, because that's actually a really, really great rule. Is the, and this also applies to rent. So if you're a renter or you're buying, your payment should not be more than 25% of your take home pay. And that's kind of an arbitrary number, because if it's like 26 or 27%, you're probably fine. Obviously, you're less. I think we're for sure less than 25. I think, you know, we're probably down there. So that's really, really great. Which is, again, one of the reasons that I feel comfortable buying the house. So that's one school of thought. Another school of thought is the Graham Stefan school of thought. He is, and I tend to follow him a little bit more because he is younger. What is he? He became a millionaire in the real estate industry by the age of 26. He is now a YouTuber, so I think he does that full time over real. He still has rental properties, but he's definitely a YouTuber, and he's probably in his he's probably like 30 or 32 or something like that. So he's much closer to my age than Dave Ramsey is. Dave is like probably close to 60. Let's figure this out. How old is Dave Ramsey?
Dave Ramsey is 60.
He's 60. Oh, nice. Okay. So yeah, Dave is 60 and this guy's 32 and I'm 23, 24. So, and yes, I am sitting on the ground, by the way, just because that is, I've just given up completely. I tried to be professional and quick at the beginning. This is just a monologue of me talking to a camera now. So hope you enjoy. So Graham Stefan, he's a lot younger, and Dave tends to focus a lot on emotion. He dips a lot into his past and brings out those experiences. His philosophy is very much anecdotal. I do not doubt that it works, and he has a lot of evidence to prove that it works. But I like the math behind Graham Stefan a lot better. So the school of thought of Graham Stefan is he still thinks debt is bad. You need to live within your means for sure. So if you're spending money on frivolous things such as eating out because you're lazy and you don't want to cook, he thinks that's dumb. If you're buying crap like a super expensive car that you can't afford and super expensive clothes that you can't afford and super expensive living area that you can't afford, he, I believe, would say that's really dumb. But he also believes that a 30-year mortgage, we'll go there in a sec. I was talking about debt. He says that he does not like debt. I don't like debt. I'm in debt, but I don't like debt. But he is a much more conservative about that because he has debt himself. He is a multi-millionaire, but he also has, according to his most recent video on his net worth that he put out, he also has quite a bit of debt in real estate. So he has a lot of mortgage loans. But I do believe that the value of his real estate and what he has sitting in, he also says that he has enough sitting in cash to pay off those real estate loans at any time. So that's the perks of being a multimillionaire. But he will say debt is bad, but it's okay if you, like, credit card debt's always bad. He'll say if you have an interest rate below 5%, I think he's pretty okay with that. And that's kind of where we're sitting. We have mostly student loan debt. I'd say 90% of our debt, 95% of our debt, student loan debt, which is Right now it's 0%, but that even when it is earning interest on the debt, it's definitely below 5. It's probably even below 4%. So it's definitely a manageable, easy debt. So that's kind of his thought. And he even posted a video. It's like an 18-minute video, which if you're comparing it to this one is super short. Sorry. On why a 30-year mortgage is actually more beneficial than a 15-year mortgage. And I also have a book by Joseph D. Salem called Love, Marriage, Money, Your Guide to a Financially Happy Family. So I'll just toss that up here on the screen. I read this recently in one day. I did some highlighting in the book, and it's a great book. Highly recommend. And in that book as well, he runs through a scenario why a 30-year is better than a 15-year if you're looking at what you have at the end of the loan. And I can go into that maybe in a later video. I might, but right now we're way too. I thought about like reading the excerpt where he talks about that, but we're way too far into this. So that's Graham Stefan and again Joseph D. Salem. Love, Marriage, Money, Your Guide to a Financially Happy Family. My wife read that for me last year. I've now read it 2.5 times. I skimmed it the second time and I read it decent. I skimmed it the third time, but I did some highlighting. So I read it a little bit more thoroughly. That's kind of their thoughts. And then I also have written down here, Money Under 30. That's a blog. That guy, I don't know at all his stance on buying a house, but I do know he has multiple articles on debt and paying off debt. And I know for sure there's an article. He might have changed his stance because this article is decently old, but he does have an article named what was it called? Why I don't pay off my student loan debt early or something like that. Let me write all these things down because I'm going to put them all in the description. So we have the article. I don't need to put, I'll put Dave Ramsey and Graham Stefan's YouTube channel on there. And I'll also put a link to the book. And I'm too small to even getting paid for any of this. So you don't have to worry about that. Just all really good information. Those are the different schools of thought. As you can tell, I fall under the Graham Stefan Money Under 30, Joseph Salem rule of thought, where my debt is manageable. Obviously, right now it's at 0% interest. So while I do make payments on that, I'm not required to make payments. We have a very, very, very small car debt. So again, that's just really small. And the interest rate is very low. And so just based on that, and I guess this is kind of, we'll go into the final part of this. Don't worry. Hopefully we can finish this. I was planning on this being like 20 minutes and I just ramble. So this, if this is finishes in 40 minutes, that'd be sweet. And you know what, we're gonna make that a goal. So I have 6 minutes and 30 seconds to finish this video. So this kind of transitions into the last part, why we bought. So I kind of fall under the Graham Stefan, and again, just as Salem, Money Under 30 thought philosophies of debt and of finances and of buying. I have seen the value and I've done the calculations that 30-year is probably better than a 15-year. So there's that. So we definitely got a 30-year mortgage. I do follow the Dave Ramsey philosophy of a 25% payment. And yeah, so why we bought this house, we felt that we were financially ready. We do have debt. We have a decent amount of debt compared to some people I would think. But again, that debt is low interest rate. It's very manageable. It's very easy for us to make our payments. Another reason, we do have a good emergency fund and cushion. So we felt that we were financially ready there. We knew our payment. We knew the We knew our budget. We knew the max amount of house that we could buy. And actually, we did really, really great because the house that we just purchased is, let me do the quick math, $30,000 under our max house price. So we got a great deal on a house in a location that we wanted. So that's another reason, is the location. It's something that we know where we want to be for at least the next 3 to 5. We have no exit plan. We're not like, oh, we're going to stay here for 5 years and we'll look. And we plan on staying here for quite some time. Locations where we want to be, small town Nebraska, super easy commute for the both of us. It opens up job markets. It's closer to family. We have friends that live there and who want to live there, and it's just, so the location is amazing. The price, I talked about that. We also see this as an investment. So I kind of talked about before how you can make poor and good decisions on buying, and the break-even point. Based on what our realtors told us and based on the improvements that my wife and I are planning to make to the house, like home improvements, we're going to do the kitchen and the flooring and such before we move in, because we have about a 2-month period from when we closed to when we will actually move in. So we have some playroom in there where we can renovate the house just a little bit, which in my opinion, in my novice, non-expert opinion, will add quite a bit of value to the house. So it definitely is an investment. I think if we sold, and again, this is on the wisdom, coming from the wisdom of our realtor, if we sold our house in 1 year, which I don't plan on doing, we will probably make money. So the longer that we're in it, it'll just kind of compound that investment. And then the stability of being in one place for X number of years is just really freeing for me, and I'm sure for my wife too. So just like having, like, this is the last time that we're going to have to forward our addresses for a number of years, voter registration, car registration, driver's license, paying property taxes. And it's just like all of these things, moving sucks, and all of these things are just going to be made easier after we move, because there's a stability there. So that is a lot of information, and I'm keeping to my word. I have to be done in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I will be done here very shortly. Thanks so much for watching. If you stuck to the end, holy smokes, I still see a 1 here. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm the one person watching myself. If you are out there, congrats. I probably know who you are. Hopefully you found this helpful. I will leave those links in the description. Man, I need to just do better about the length of the videos. I always say this is gonna be a really short video. In my mind, this is gonna be a 20-minute video, and it's a 39-minute video. And yeah, but a lot of fun. Hopefully I imparted some wisdom. Again, none of this is meant to be advice, except for the advice section about get a realtor, know your payment, and know where you want to be. I'm not the only person who says that stuff. Any articles from experts or videos that you watch in the home buying process, they'll say the same thing, and that is where I got most of my information. Not advice. Don't listen to me. I'm a dude on the internet, and if you listen to me and you fail, that is on you. Love you all. And when I say that, I mean that in the general sense of I love human beings sometimes when they are not in front of me on the road driving slow. So thanks so much. We're going to click the end stream. This was a lot of fun. Can't wait to do Thursdays. I don't know my video topic yet, or do I? I can give a sneak peek. I have to finish in less than a minute. So, I'll probably talk a little bit about minimalism in my next video. That's not for sure, but that's an idea that I've written down. So thanks so much. Y'all are awesome. If you made it, I feel bad for you. All right. Bye. End.